Somehow, yet again, Orcust just continues to surprise me. Make sure you guys smash the and crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out more Oscar. I think that this is probably one of the most straightforward metagame breakdowns that we've seen that really just kind of encompasses what this meta is about right now. You know, they're looking at Draco Tale being probably one of the biggest powerhouse meta choices in the meta. You know, you still have your decision, you know, do I want to play Magistus cards in this build to try to make more of a splash on the advantage tree? Or do I just kind of want to make a little bit of a step back and kind of decide where we're going to go from there? Well, I do think, you know, the branded Draco Tale without the Magistus stuff is probably the consistent place to be. I also see that we have two yummy Fiendsmith variants. RIP to seeing more of Kamal's special actually tearing up the meta, but I think that's fine. The yummy Fiendsmith build appears to be, I think, one of the more consistent meta challengers within the meta. Surprise, surprise, though. We did have the branded Despia list coming out of nowhere. I mean, literally nowhere. And actually smashing down the meta. Like, this deck actually won this event, which is incredible. And the reason why I wanted to look at this regional in the first place was Azamina Orcust kind of came in the back burner here and snatched it away as well at second place, which is really, really nice. Honestly, Orcust has just been really dominating some of these out-of-field events recently. And I'm not saying, like, Orcust is, like, a crazy challenger, but, like, the deck has some pretty gosh darn cool tools to make things work. We also had Vanquish Soul Canine. This is pretty much a meta staple at this point. If you're going to an event, you're going to see some consistency coming down with this. And of course, we had Radiant Typhoon. No Fiendsmith cards mentioned here, which is kind of nice. But overall, I mean, looking at this regional, everything is kind of accounted for, and you kind of get a good example of what you're working with. Now, we have our first place list here, and I see they are choosing to play the Golden Sword Soul. You know, I'm not surprised to see this working. How many cards is this? This was 44. So you have the Golden Sword Soul in here. You have the Ido to, you know, lock the opponent, which is pretty standard for what this deck wants to do. But we've gone a little bit further here. We're actually playing the Fleur de Lis in the main deck. That's actually kind of interesting. I wonder how many times this actually came up as a tech choice to work. Of course, you know, because you're playing pure branded, Retribution's going to slot in here. We do have the Invader of Darkness to really, really, really ruin Radiant Typhoon's day. We have the Droplet sighted if need be, and we've also got access to Super Poly down here, kind of tear through those options. And we've also got the branded banishment as well. So, I mean, you've got a lot of cool options present in this list to kind of work with the meta. Now, we have Azamina Orcust here, and this was probably one of the coolest lists I wanted to see. I do see we are playing, oh my god, we're playing the Queen Azamina. If this card is in your hand or field, sent to the graveyard, or banished by an activated effect, special summon this card when your Azamina White Forest monster responds monster by battling, target sinful spoils in your graveyard and reset it. Well, that's interesting as a little tech choice to be able to bring in here. But you do see you are choosing to play the Diabellstar in here because getting access to the big Omni Negate here is pretty good. But also, you know, you can warp it into the Dark Magician Destruction and then further warp into the Dark Dragoon, kind of set up for that inconveniencing interruption against the opponent. That's why this package is very, very strong. It's the power of the interruptions that you get on the setup really, really, really can win you some big major games. And that's why we kind of like that, actually. Powerful interruptions like this are going to get you, you know, some places in the meta. Next up here, you have Camille's Draco Tale variant. Now, like I said, in a lot of these Draco Tale variants, a lot of these lists are kind of starting to flow together in terms of, like, their creativity. You know, you're going with one Incredible Ecclesia with this. We're still playing the OG Albaz, which is fine. Still going with two Brand Fusion. We have the Sting in the main deck, which has become, I think, a normal thing at this point, just because you don't want to go too crazy. I do see we are playing Mysterion and Secretarion in here. I can't imagine that this monster is going to feel all that strong, but, you know, it does do its thing. I see we have the Albion in here doing its job, side decking the Drolls, and we've also got two Dragon's Mines kind of bringing up the rear for this this list, but you kind of get the peace of mind with this list knowing that, you know, the tools that you got are probably going to get you places, and that really shouldn't be much of a problem. Once again, Fallen and Virtuous is just one of those most broken Yu-Gi-Oh cards. You can kind of just roll out on the disruption and do what you need to do. Next up is Eric's Vanquish Soul pile. And this is another deck that, you know, even though it's really been reduced in a lot of its functionality, the deck still does feel kind of strong. I do see that this list opted for the 2 heavy Borgers, and I do kind of like this. I will definitely tell you, for as much as we've seen the Borger Master, you know, kind of popping up in these lists, he does really feel like one of those cards that is going to kind of be good and actually get you to where you need to be. We have the Retaliating Seas in the side deck, which are fine. We have Drolls on call if we need them. We also have the Rank Up spell in the side deck. Was this really the cost of deciding between like 41 cards and 40? And like, how relevant was this in the side deck? Because I feel like I would have rather have had access to this in the main deck. But I mean, sometimes it just, I guess, doesn't really matter. Next up here, we have Renee's Yummy Fiendsmith pile. Now, do keep in mind, I mean, they're pretty extensive on the Fiendsmith package at this point. You know, a lot of these builds are just going with the triple engraver just to be able to get access. Because, I mean, your payoff is you get Wave King Kaiser, which protects your field, or you get access into a Desiree, which further extends your field into feeling a little bit more safe. And that's kind of the thing that people want right now. They want their end board to feel safe. They want their, you know, setup to feel like it's protected. And if you initially don't really feel that way, I know, it just kind of crumbles apart. And I kind of get that. We've also got Triple Purge in the main deck, which is fine. I do see Gamma and the Spell Negates here are going to be doing their job. Also kind of cool to see, you know, Solemn Warnings and the Judgment kind of bringing it together on the rear here. But this is probably one of the more cookie cutter approaches to this deck. Just filling in the holes of this list lost with the Fiendsmith, good stuff. Next up is Marson's pile. A very similar list here, actually. You see going with the 1 Lacrima, the triple, the 1 copy of this slotted in here. Actually, this is pretty much just the exact same list. Holy crap. Going with the 1/1/1s, you got the Wave King Kaiser and the Desiree. And also keep in mind, you've been probably noticing a lot of Reprodocus in these lists. Reprodocus being able to change attributes or monster types is pretty interesting, because that means that you could technically pivot anything into, well, I mean, you can change, you know, light monster into a fiend type and pivot into that, but you got a little bit to work with Reprodocus. There's a reason why this card is, you know, really starting to see an uptick in play here. But once again, you've got the same copy and paste pattern that you've got here. It showcases, you know, the reason why this deck is actually looking decently well on paper. Next up, we have Radiant Typhoon. In terms of setup with this, the Noble Arm Shield Bearer has been cut. We're no longer exploring that cool option. I do see, well, Super Poly opens up some stupid doors, because I do see we have the Saint Azamina and we have the Sylvia in here as well. The fact that these are both cards that you could technically call up and use is hilarious. And of course, we do have Lava Golems down here. I think these are going to be pretty important pieces that you kind of have to consider. I mean, your Crocea being able to start off of a quick play is not going to be a problem, but, you know, using a Lava Golem to board break over something that the opponent has, I do think is going to be pretty important. You got to think about the tools and options that a Lava Golem provides you to kind of get set up, and that's actually pretty good. Also, you know, seeing the Psychic Fusion monster in here is hilarious. Once again, I mean, this just showcases, you know, how good Radiant Typhoon can be at these new options. And then we have the Pilot Unknown. This was the other Draco Tale variant that was doing very well in this event, you know, going with the 1/2 here. We do have an Aluber Pooper in the main deck. We do see the Exciton Knight, which has become a more recent trend for being able to equalize the board and punish the opponent. I see we do have the Lightning, or the Machine Kaiju in here to be able to tribute over the opponent's monsters, do the old bounce through back to the hand, and, you know, kind of keep the Congo line rolling. But there's not much else to really say about this regional. Another regional in the books, another chance to see, you know, a great opportunity of things actually coming along in the meta. So please leave a comment down below, tell me what you guys think, and I'll see your beautiful faces back here in patrons. Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.